If you listen to the establishment media tell it, a lot of them are criticizing you guys. They're saying that, oh, you guys are want to give away the store to the Russians or whatnot. Can you push back on that criticism?
Yeah, well, first of all, I think it's hypocritical. These are the same people, by the way, that were arguing that after October 7th, when these savages went in and did what they did in Israel, that somehow Israel shouldn't do anything about it. So these are the same people that were demanding a ceasefire and an end to hostilities and allowing Hamas to survive. On the other hand, they're arguing, no, let the war in Ukraine go on. Let it go on for a couple more years. Let us continue to spend billions of dollars and thousands of lives being destroyed. Let a country be destroyed. So it's hypocritical. And I think at the same, usually in American history, presidents have been applauded when they seek peace, except for Trump. President Trump, on the other hand, is attacked by these outlets for wanting to seek peace. And in any negotiation, we're not going to negotiate through the media, but in any negotiation to end a war or a conflict, there's going to have to be give and take. Each side is going to have to give up something, they're going to have to give something. Everyone knows that. That's mature foreign policy. So we don't pay a lot of attention to the criticism because, frankly, for some of those voices, no matter what President Trump does, they're going to criticize him. But they've been doing that now for 8 years and it didn't work.
Mm-hmm. I know you don't want to negotiate through the media, but there's a couple of things specifically that have come up in public comments from various sides. First is that Vladimir Zelensky has said that if they're not going to be in NATO, and it seems to be people are coming to the realization that Ukraine won't be in NATO, that he wants nuclear weapons. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I don't think anyone would think that's a serious offer on their part. Nor do I think equipping them with nuclear weapons is a solution to the problem. I haven't heard him say that, so if he's out there saying that, I don't think that's a realistic demand to have. We need less nuclear armed countries, not more. Nor do I think that solves their problem as they view it. I think here the fundamental challenge is, okay, how do you reach an end to the conflict that's enduring, that's going to be in place, that's not all of a sudden going to lead to a new war in a year or 2 years or 3 years? And that's the kind of thing that'll have to be talked about in any negotiation. But I don't think nuclear weapons are the answer to that.
Mm-hmm. Another big thing is that the Russians have seized a number of Western companies, right? Like, so a number of European countries, but in October they just took the first American company, which is this canned food maker called Glav Product. It's owned by Universal Beverage, which is a wholly owned U.S. company. Is that something that you guys will be pressuring the Russians?
Well, that'll be part of a conversation. Look, as part of this is step 2 in this process. Step 1 is we got to get our embassies working. Our embassy in Moscow barely functions at this point. I mean, we have great people working there, but they can't function because the Russians have made life miserable. So we got to get that straightened out. I remind everybody that at the height of the Cold War, like in the worst days of the Cold War, the Soviet Union and the United States still had a relationship. We still spoke. Thank God we did during the missile crisis, for example. And ultimately, had we not kept that communication, the Cold War would have never ended, theoretically, or could have ended in terrible things, the World War III. So that's step 1. Step 2 is we had to invite them and see, okay, if you guys are serious about ending this thing, let's sit down and talk about it. I think step 3 is if we can end this conflict, what does U.S.-Russian relations look like in the 21st century? Are the things we can work on together geopolitically or maybe even economically? The president's talked about that. There are opportunities to work together, and obviously that's going to entail talking about not just Russian assets that have been seized by the Europeans or the U.S. or what have you, but also American companies that have been hurt. So that'll have to be part of a broader conversation about how to reset our relations. We're not at that step yet. I want to get ahead of ourselves. None of that's even possible. We can't even really talk about those things or fix those things until we bring this war at least to some sort of enduring ceasefire, hopefully permanent end.